Welcome to the Awesome Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal EMAC coming to you with one Adam Ship, my money share, as we get ready for a Saturday NBA slate. 7 games on the main slate, one random early outpost game again. That is going to be, I know Chicago's one of the teams, and Brooklyn at Chicago, 6 o'clock, NBA TV. Not sure why they're doing that on Saturdays, but we got 7 games, several teams on a back-to-back. We'll talk about them, but Adam, how the heck you doing?
Doing good. I'm really enjoying this week of like 5 to 8 games on every slate. It's gonna suck going back to normal next week with huge slates and small slates.
I'm afraid to look ahead and see when that happens, but I do see Monday has a niner. Tuesday's got 4. Oh boy.
Yeah, then
Wednesday,
it's I think
3, 6.
11-2
Yeah,
and yeah.
11, 2. It's let us channel from 3 years ago. Damn it. All right. Well, there we are. Which is kind of funny that they're doing that because then next week is not Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is of course, the 4th Thursday of every November. So that's the 28th. So it's as late as it can be essentially this year. And let's look at that week real quick because now I'm curious. So that week is going to be a heavy Monday, a 2 Tuesday, literally everybody playing on Wednesday, nobody playing Thursday. And then that Saturday, there's a nooner, Brooklyn and Boston. And then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 games on that Friday, only to follow up with a 3-game main slate on Saturday. Adam, they're on drugs. I'll have what they're having. But in any event, let's get back, rounding it to this Saturday with our 7 games. We're going to go game by game. This is the Early Bird Podcast. Of course, we are sponsored by the one and only Yahoo Fantasy Sports. If you guys have not checked it out, they do have the $200,000 baller for NFL this weekend. You'll get a free article posted around lunchtime detailing plays for that. We also have the cash game building blocks article. That'll be free, and that'll be up ideally right before Adam and I go on air at 9:30 on Saturday, breaking it down with the DFS strategy show. But at the bottom of either of those free articles, you can find the paragraph and instructions with the link and promo code that will get you a $30 deposit match from Yahoo with your initial DFS deposit. That comes in the form of Yahoo Sports Rewards Points, YSRPs. Those are available for immediate use into any contest. And of course, over at Yahoo, most of their contests are 1, 3, and 10 entry max. They do have a couple or their largest flagship contests are 150 max now, but that is usually the baller, be it for NFL or NBA. And they do have CSV upload now. But as Alex has pointed out many times, and Adam, as you have said yourself, heavy players in NBA are not always going to be chasing 3 sites, especially when they can only get that 150 into one tournament as opposed to multiple on FanDuel and DraftKings. So definitely give it some consideration over there, especially if you get good at their pricing. You can still have a nice little edge. Plus, it's generally 10 to 12% on their management fees. Adam, we'll start off here with point guard. We, of course, have James Harden. We know that Russell Westbrook played on Friday night. He should be sitting out the second half of the back-to-back. Clint Capella is unlikely to play. I don't know if he's officially been ruled out yet. Yep, he's been ruled out for Saturday as well. He is in the concussion protocol. We'll have to see how many minutes Tyson Chandler plays. I was trying to caution people on that one. There was a little bit of a groundswell, Adam, for Tyson Chandler love. And I said, guys, he's 37 years old and in his 19th season, and he's got to play again tomorrow. I don't see more than 20 or 24 minutes. I haven't looked to see how he's doing tonight. But I said, hey, pencil him in for a fantasy point per minute. And he's played 12 minutes, Adam. He has 3 rebounds.
Yeah, he only averaged 3/4 of a point per minute last year with the Lakers. So
yes, and
yeah,
last year, 15 games of his 50 did he play more than 20 points. I think he topped 25 or more than 20 minutes. He topped 25 minutes once.
yeah.
So this is not the jam him in Tyson Chandler. It looks like most of the field kind of figured that out. But start us off here on point guard for Saturday, November 16th.
Yeah, so I mean, Harden. Are we doing Harden as a point guard or a shooting guard?
Oh, let's start off with him because he's going to be the fun guy to talk about.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, no Westbrook, no Capella. Should be an incredibly fast-paced game. You have Houston, who is coming into Friday night, was the second fastest team in the league. Minnesota fourth. On Friday, we talked about how Harden's price tag was just basically really, really hard to get to. But that was a pace down game against Indiana with Russell Westbrook. Now you don't have Westbrook, you don't have Capella. If you look at last year's numbers without Chris Paul or Capella on the floor, James Harden had a 48.4% usage rate, 41.8% assist percentage. He averaged 1.87 DraftKings points per minute. He should play 36 or 37 minutes here. Again, with the pace of this game, it wouldn't be surprising to see like 2 points per minute from Harden.
That would be like Giannis like.
Yes.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, that's like the only comparable I have, and I'm saying that for Giannis because he is missing a ton of his key teammates via Brogdon on a different team and Middleton dinged up. So we're going to see similar to. I don't want to say must play Harden because he seemingly is relatively appropriately priced as best as the sites can for this type of situation, but dang, he is going to be someone that we will want to work in. We'll find us some value. It is 14 teams in action. I'm sure some will appear, particularly with a few teams on back-to-backs. Just quickly hitting those back-to-backs. Indiana is one of those teams. Charlotte is. Houston at Minnesota. Both those teams are on the back-to-back. Let's see. I think that covers everybody that's on a back-to-back, and then a bunch of the teams that played Thursday are also playing on Saturday. So a few teams might be starting to be on some 3 and 4s here, and then a couple teams are going on road swings. So Toronto's kind of going through a 5 or 6 game sort of West Coast swing here. They're in Dallas, and I say West Coast, west of the Mississippi. They're in Dallas. They just finished up back-to-back ones there in LA. Let's talk down the pricing sheet here with our point guards. Let's save Doncic. Oh, Doncic is now shooting guard, not small forward. Well, let's count him as a point guard then. So we've got Doncic, you've got Trae Young, who kind of sort of let us all down at him with 45 fantasy points. He played 36 minutes, took 18 shots, wasn't getting anything from 3, had 13 assists, but 1 board, 2 steals, just kind of missed out, and only 1 3-pointer. So on DK, kind of disappointed us just a little bit, coming off of 3 straight 60 fantasy point performances, but he's in the mix. Doncic is there going against Toronto. This is a Toronto team that is down to the nubbins at this point, and they are without 2 players that are in the top 5 or top. Let me see. Lowry is the top 5 in minutes per game, so they're trying to foist extra minutes on Siakam and Fred VanVleet. That's not helping them. So you've got the understudies. So I'm very interested there in Doncic going against them. You've got Lou Williams, who's playing a passel of minutes here. He's going against one of his many former teams. He dropped a 50 burger against New Orleans. What do you like here? There's a lot of moving parts. I know some of these, pretty much damn near all these guys have multi-position eligibility, but hit on the cream of the crop here down through, Bledsoe.
So the guys, it's just so tough with Harden because obviously Luka and Trae, you really like. I mean, not the best matchups, but they're both basically matchup proof. They can easily go for 60, 70 points. As you said, Trae Young was disappointing the other night because he only scored almost 50. But when Harden has a legitimate 100-point ceiling here, it's really, really tough to be paying up for anything other than him, I think. So I would need a pretty big ownership gap to be getting a whole lot of Luka and Young, I would think. Brandon Ingram's probable, so Drew Holiday's still appealing without Lonzo, but not nearly as appealing as he would have been if Ingram was out. Pretty nice matchup for Lou Will. We have Kawhi is questionable, and so is Pat Beverly. If they're out, then I love Williams. If they're in, then not quite as interested because we don't know exactly how rotations are going to look with George and Kawhi. Bledsoe, I like without Middleton. He had a really good game against Chicago. I talked about how his usage and his production really jumped last year when Middleton was off the floor, but pace down spot against Indiana, against a good defense, isn't the best. I think that he's a reasonable tournament option, but tough to prioritize. I would like Malcolm Brogdon a lot if he plays. He'll be questionable. He left Friday night's game with a back injury and is not going to return. So not sure if he'll be in for the game against Milwaukee, but if he's not, then TJ McConnell becomes one of the easy value plays.
All right, just cruising through here. You've got Lillard, who laid down a 50 burger against San Antonio last time. Those teams scored off 8,700. Did you thoughts on Carmelo Anthony being signed to a non-guaranteed contract by Portland? That feels like a cry for help. Should we send counselors?
Yeah, I mean, they're giving minutes to Hizzonia and Anthony Tolliver. Like,
Oh, yeah, could it really be that much worse? I don't know. I don't know. Fred Van Elite, Adam, you got to admit, 50 fantasy points in 2 of the last 3. Are you projecting him for 40 minutes? Because it certainly feels like that's what he's going to need to play. You've got him and Siakam that are just having a heavy minutes workload. I think they're kind of Van Vliet anyway, since we're focused on guards, is pretty interesting. Rozier, Charlotte, as I mentioned, on the back-to-back, but Rozier and Graham are now playing together. That could muck things up just a little bit as they work to figure that out. And then the last cheap guy I see is Goran Dragic, who'd been dealing. He had some sort of dinged up. Oh, it was an illness, so he should be fine and good for what his usual 27 minutes or so off the bench. Rounding this out, anybody else at point guard catch your eye?
so I mean, I obviously agree with you on the minutes for Van Vliet. I expect Rozier to take a bigger hit from Graham getting more minutes from Graham and Rozier alongside each other. They both should be fine, but I think that Rozier takes a little bit bigger hit because Graham's going to have the ball in his hands more. Rozier likes playing off ball, but from a fantasy standpoint, the lack of assists when he's on the floor with Graham will make him a little bit less appealing. But you're already seeing Graham's price tag be higher, so I think that they're pretty appropriately priced. Dennis Smith Jr.'s price tag immediately came up. Keep in mind that Ntilikina was in massive foul trouble, so don't read too much into the minutes that Dennis Smith played. Jeff Teague's going to be really appealing. His price tag actually is down from Friday. Andrew Wiggins, I don't know what his deal was on
Death
Friday.
in the
I don't know.
family. Yeah, it was his grandmother passed away, so hard to think that he'll be there on Saturday.
Right. In which case, like Teague's a really good play either way, but if Wiggins is out, he's an even better play.
Shooting guard here, Kendrick Nunn, crossover guy crossover on the court. He's crossover guy at point guard and shooting guard. 37 minutes in each of the last 2 games, averaging 40 fantasy points DraftKings scoring in those 2. That's some pretty hefty minutes. He is 16 of 32 from the field in those games, 7 from 14 from deep, but rather solid. He's been dropping the dimes, 13 in those 2 games. It took him the prior 7 games to get 13 assists. Are we seeing a turning point here for Nunn?
Well, I mean, they've had injuries too, so it's kind of hard to take.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who else? Let me get up here. Who is the guys that we're waiting on? I'm assuming Winslow's still out.
Yeah, I think Winslow's still out. Hero. So Jones is out. Winslow is out. Hero came back last game, so it's Winslow and Jones.
Okay. Oh, Hero was the main. Okay. All right. Well, tough one there. That was more game log chasing.
One guy that I forgot at point guard though, DeJounte Murray is sitting this game, so Derek White is another really good value option.
All right. Good to know White at 4,500 there. Norm Powell. He's one of those guys that's going to pick up somewhere between. Well, let me rephrase that. His role hasn't changed a ton. I would have thought he would pick up more kind of as the third guard or in that third ball handling type rotation, and we didn't really see it. So he's got 27, 37, 26 minutes since most everybody's gone down, but he just has not been doing a lot. And he's a guy that I think is much better than this. Would you go to him at 4,400 against the Mavericks on DK with that small forward eligibility in addition to shooting guard eligibility?
It wouldn't really be a priority for me. Like, I'm not going to be upset if I get him into some lineups across 150, but just thinking about the other value we've already talked about, like I'd rather roster Derek White. I'd rather roster TJ McConnell. If we assume that Brogdon misses, I think both of those guys are just better point per minute guys than Powell is.
All right. And then what was the main impetus that had Freddie Jackson getting all the minutes? Was it just Ingram being out in the last game for the Saints? Or the Saints? Good God. Now I'm turning into Lofty with this football thing. God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, Ball and Ingram both being out and Josh Hart being out.
Oh, Hart. Thank you. That was the other one. Is it now? Yeah. So that's going to be another one. George Hill. I don't want to say revenge because he's on his 5th team since he left Indiana, but he's familiar with the shooting background there. He's 3,900. I would mention him because wait for it, he's 3,900. Probably should play 25 25 to 27 minutes there with Middleton out. There's just, he's one of their, shall we call him, NBA players as opposed to some of the riffraff they have still on the bench. We're in the dregs here, Adam. Anything else here at shooting guard?
I mean, I like the George Hill call because I had mentioned that I thought there was a good chance we could get more minutes for him and Bledsoe with them playing alongside each other. Hill played even more against the Bulls than I expected him to. He actually closed both halves. He ended up playing 28.8 minutes. I'm not going to project 28 to 30 minutes, but just knowing he can get there is nice. And even if you get 26 minutes, it's just another reasonable value option.
And I'm looking here at the Pacers. So Turner's most likely going to be out again. They did get Bitadze back.
Lamb's out.
Lamb's out. We don't know about Brogdon. So they're going to have to go small is what I'm kind of looking for, which helps George Hill because then that moves Giannis. I don't think they'll put the Lopez brothers out there more than they normally do, but I could see a smaller one where Hill ends up being there with Bledsoe, as you were mentioning. So
yeah, and I mean they were playing Giannis at the 5 a bit against the Bulls as well. Certainly can do that against the Pacers too.
And the Pacers on a back-to-back. So hey, there we are. Let's look at small forward here. I have a feeling we're going to find some names that we like to talk about. Oh, reminder, if you guys have not yet signed up for Osmo, you can get 50% off any 1-month package there by using the promo code EARLYBIRD. All one word. We've got you covered. NFL, NHL, NBA, all the good stuff. NASCAR's last week is this Sunday. We've got some stuff behind the paywall and in front of the paywall for that one. But if there's a DFS sport out there, we've got the coverage for it. Definitely give us a look. Small forward, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Sorry, Luffy. Giannis Antetokounmpo is 12,000. Harden 12,200. If you were picking one of them, Adam, I don't know that it's got to be Harden.
It's got to be Harden.
It's got to be Harden. Okay.
I mean, obviously there's an ownership point where it becomes Giannis, but I think that Harden is the preferred. Like he's in a really, really fast-paced game.
Minnesota plays faster. Yep, that's
right. Yeah, Minnesota plays faster. They're a worse defense than Indiana. He averages 1.87 points per minute in a neutral matchup under these conditions. Giannis has that potential. Like Giannis is one of the only other players in the league that can realistically give you 2+ fantasy points per minute, but Harden is almost projecting for that.
Do you think Budenholzer has capped Giannis's minutes at 36 since he has exactly 36 in 5 of his last 6 games?
It's it's definitely obviously he runs a pretty similar rotation like every game. It's just a matter of if the game's competitive, he gets 36, and if it's not, he gets less.
All right, kind of funny on that one. Coming down the list here again, Wiggins in the picture, but it could be dealing with family stuff. Kawhi, sore knee. He did play 41 minutes in the last game. He only played 40 minutes, I want to say 4 times last year, and he never played a back-to-back. So this game is neither, but just want to keep an eye on that one. Have you heard anything about Paul George? He got 24 minutes on Thursday there. He was phenomenal. 10 of 17 from the field, 3 of 5 from deep, 10 of 10 from the line, 9 boards, 5 assists. Did get 5 fouls, but come on, his sea legs aren't quite there for him, so some of them probably were grabby fouls. Did you look at his rotation at all? Do you want to infer more than 24 minutes? I don't know. 28? Does that
I think he can definitely play more than 24.
Okay.
The reason I think that is because, for one, they had said before that game that they were going to base his minutes on how he looked conditioning wise, and he wasn't on like a hard minutes limit. He also subbed in with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second quarter, picked up his fourth foul 13 seconds later, so he went straight back to the bench. But that's 3.5 minutes that he was going to get that he didn't get. He also picked up his 5th foul towards the end of the third quarter, so that took him off the floor. They pretty clearly were playing him more than 24 minutes if he wasn't in foul trouble. I had projected him for 30 in that game. I'm going to do the same thing here.
So 30 sounds fair in this one, with the tick or 2 for upside, but I'd hate to put that into the projection. Just kind of know it's there in the variance. Jimmy Butler gets New Orleans. That's fine. Jabari Parker, small forward eligibility here on DK. I really like this matchup for him against the Clippers because of the way they run their front court. Thoughts on Parker, Butler, Marcus Morris Sr.? Congrats. At some point, he had a kid, I guess.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think Butler stands out. His price tag's pretty appealing. He's 7,600 on DraftKings with guard and forward eligibility in that fast-paced game against a weak New Orleans defense. So I do like George. I like Butler. I think that they both stand out as better options than DeRozan or Parker. Brendan Ingram is interesting. He's probable. The knee issue was never supposed to be a big deal, so I don't expect him to be limited. And without Lonzo Ball, you still get more ball handling for Ingram. You get a higher usage rate, and the salary is dropped. So it's not it's not a great matchup against Miami defensively, but Miami does play at a reasonably fast pace, and Ingram is just really, really good. So I think that he's underpriced.
All right, kind of cruising around below 5K, just seeing if any names sort of pop. Rondé Hollis Jefferson, not a bad play. Played 26, 29 minutes. He's now with the Raptors. He's going to need to get that again for them. We got the Q tag here on JJ Redick. Sprained his left big toe. We know that Josh Hart is out for Saturday, probably going to miss Sunday. So, again, there's our Freddie Jackson information. But how about Kenrich Williams as we wrap up the small forward spot? He came out like a house of fire. Finished up by watching Derek Favors get a 2020 while his stats didn't really move. But how you feeling about Kenrich Williams?
Williams is just to a point where I can't get there. He's not a high usage guy. He gets there by getting defensive stats, getting hustle stats. And once you start getting to like the mid 5K range, it's just really, really hard for him to put up a score that you have to have in your lineup. Then you factor in Brandon Ingram coming back as well. And I don't think that he's that great of a player.
All right, here's our last three that's going to springboard us over there to power forward. These are the value plays. 4,500. You got Eton Moore for New Orleans, who's going to be taking on more responsibility. You've got DeAndre Bembry there, who should get minutes. Who the hell knows what he's going to do with them? And then you've got the Never Again crowd that's just disappointed by JaMychal Green laying a dud on the back-to-back, getting just 18 minutes there. I don't mind JaMychal Green in this matchup at 4,400. Anybody here that pops as we move on to power forward?
I like Covington here. His price tag didn't move from Friday. Wiggins, may or may not be in. If Wiggins is out, then I think you get some more offensive opportunities for Covington. But either way, another really fast-paced game after the track meet last night against Washington, and he's just, he's a 3-and-D guy that gets some rebounds. And games like this are really, really appealing for players like that.
All right, power forward here. Giannis at the top. Kawhi Leonard, we already kind of hit on those guys. Sabonis, 8,500, but well worth it. No Turner, potentially no Brogdon. Tougher matchup there. Or well, let me say, yeah, a tougher matchup, I think. Just the way things square up. Maybe not as much defensively, but just the way they square up there with Milwaukee. But Pascal Siakam, 9,200. Adam, that seems like a bit much. He's going against Dallas. Porzingis, 7,000 on the other side. And then a very nice 6,900, you have Montrezl Harrell. That is another matchup I love. I can just envision him and Jabari Parker going against each other and nobody playing defense.
Yeah, Harrell, again, it depends on Kawhi for Harrell.
Yep.
Yeah, like if Kawhi's in, it's kind of tough to be interested in Harrell. The price tag's starting to come down, which is nice, but also I assume that they're going to stagger Kawhi and George. But again, you're just going to have to see how that rotation plays out. But there's a good chance that instead of just it being the Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell pick and roll show with the second unit, that you also have Kawhi or George out there. And if that's the case, obviously that's another mouth to feed. So that's definitely something to be paying attention to if Kawhi does play. But I think that if Kawhi is in, it'll probably keep my interest in Harrell down.
All right. If anybody mentions the Marcus Aldridge revenge tomorrow, I'm going to say bad things about them, Adam. This will be the 16th time he has played them in his career. Averages, I'm just eyeballing it quickly, averages about 37 fantasy points. He's been over 40 4 times, 55, 52, 46, 45. He's got a 39, and then everything else is 30, and then he's got 3 games below 20. There is no revenge here. I'm sorry. Not going to happen. Now, is it a decent matchup? Yes. Is he favorably priced? Sure. But he has looked like garbage, Adam, or at least his results have been recently. He has topped in his last games 40 fantasy points twice. He is averaging 32 fantasy points per game. The rebounds are way down even for him. 18 points a game, 6 boards a game, 2 blocks. We know that, or pardon me, 2 assists and just shy of 2 blocks. The price is great, Adam. I just don't know that I can get there. I think this is kind of the beginning of the end, but he's 6,600 now on DraftKings.
Yeah, it's a good price point. But I think it's also a correct price point. You know, he's just because someone has upside or a high ceiling for their salary doesn't mean that they're underpriced. His usage is down. You know, Alex mentioned it on the show today that you have Trey Lyles taking rebounds from him. The usage maybe goes back up a little bit because DeJounte Murray's not playing. That's something to keep in mind. I'm trying to look quickly to see if I can see what his usage rate is without DeJounte Murray on the floor, because that's the biggest difference between last year and this year as far as the personnel on the Spurs is that you have Murray there now. So Aldridge has played 176 minutes without DeJounte Murray on the floor. He has a 23.2% usage rate. His usage rate for the season, if I remember correctly, is about 22.9%. So not a huge difference there. Maybe a little bit more in the way of rebounding because Murray's a good rebounder. But overall, I think it's basically where he should be priced. But you know, he still can go for the occasional 45 plus.
Let's see. I had forgot they're on a back-to-back. That was a game that I basically crossed off. Aldridge went 31 minutes on Friday night, 13 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, 5 blocks. That's pedestrian. But you're right. Lyles with 12 rebounds led the team. This is just not a great team. I'm sensing why the call was made to Carmelo Anthony. Yikes.
Wrong team.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. Jesus. Did I really do that? Oh, I really did. But DeJounte Murray, 21 minutes. Hate that he's not playing back-to-backs, but I get it, Adam. He's just been darn productive. 10, 6, and 5. Nice box score. But let's get on to more pertinent information here. Let's see. Going down to the bottom. Julius Randle. Derek Favors against Miami. Favors getting the minutes now. People think I hate him. I don't hate him. I just didn't see him getting the minutes until now. Everybody got hurt. But does Ingram coming back weaken anything for him?
No. I mean, it'll take some usage away, but he hasn't been a high usage guy this year anyway. He's just getting a lot of rebounds. He's around a 16% usage guy. Gets assists, and he's playing 30 minutes a game now. Against the Clippers, you actually got 35 minutes from him. He's playing center, so like Ingram doesn't affect his minutes. I think that the fact he played 35 minutes, it's not like he had to play more minutes because they were short at center. Like Jackson Hayes could have played more minutes if the Pelicans were looking to limit Favors. So I think the fact he played 35 is really good. Not going to project that as a medium projection, but knowing it's in the range of outcomes is nice. Even if you put him at like 32 minutes, he's averaging over a fantasy point per minute this year. The price tag's getting to where it's not the basically lock play that it was the last couple of games, but he still is a decent option.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Miami playing at the 12th fastest pace. New Orleans at the fastest, just shy of 110 possessions per 48 minutes for the Pellies, 105 for Miami. Miami, however, still decent on defense, no matter what it seems. They have the third best defensive efficiency, allowing 98 points per 100 possessions there per the ESPN Hollinger stats page that I'm looking at, Adam. All right.
Yeah, they're a good defense.
28 to 30 minutes seems reasonable.
For Favors?
For Favors. Or are you going to go 32?
I'll probably go like 30. I'll probably go 30.
Sure you don't want to split that difference, 31?
Yeah, I don't do odd numbers.
All right, let's get on over here to center and get on out of here. We've got some intriguing stuff up at the top. Don't worry, we'll hit a little bit of the Yahoo pricing and FanDuel pricing. But Towns 10,100. We already slightly mentioned Siakam, Sabonis. We know Capella's out. You've got Bam Adebayo at 7,500. That's an intriguing matchup for him going against New Orleans. He did end up playing 40 minutes against Cleveland, but he is in the games where they need him. He has been playing in the mid 30s. He is a threat for 40 to 45 fantasy points. Harold, we talked about. Who else? Whiteside. Hit us with Whiteside, Adebayo, and Towns.
I'm going to throw Randall in there too because I missed him at power forward.
Okay.
But great spot for Towns. His price tag didn't move from the Washington game. Even if Wiggins is in, he was going to be a great play last night, and he'd be a great play tonight. If Wiggins is out, you just get even more usage for Towns. The entire offense runs through him. Without Wiggins on the floor last year, he had a usage rate up above 30%. He has like a 22% rebounding percentage, 21% assist percentage, just does everything when he's out there. And it's another fast-paced matchup against the corpse of Tyson Chandler, and then PJ Tucker, Isaiah Hartenstein, whoever else Houston throws out there. So it's another spot where talent should just go nuts. I would say that like Harden is a huge priority, obviously, but Towns is like right behind him. I love the spot for Bam. The question really with any of the mid-range players on this slate, because of Harden and because of Towns, becomes, how do you get to them? Because it's just such a stars and scrubs type slate. But it is a really good spot for Bam. Julius Randle, great spot against a weak Charlotte front court. His price tag just keeps dropping. He leads the team in usage rate. He leads the team in assist percentage. He's, I think, a really, really good play night in and night out at this price point because it's just a matter of time with the rates and minutes that he has before he really breaks through. And then Whiteside, still too cheap for his upside. But I would say that the minutes are a little concerning in that when you compare them to Randall at basically the same price point, or you compare them to Bam, or obviously completely different price point, but Towns, when you're probably getting around 30 from Whiteside in a slower paced game against the Spurs, it's not as appealing to me as the Randall or Bam or Towns spots.
All right, I'm just looking to see how many minutes. Oh, Goga Batad says it's only got 8 minutes thus far. The third quarter's wrapping up there in Houston. He was 3,800. I was just trying to see if there's any bargain bin guys. Let's see. Chris Boucher is he's 4,000. We saw a kind of shortchanged 14 minutes from him against Portland. The game prior to that against the Clippers, he did get 22. Against the Lakers, he had 24. But he's the one guy that I worry about the most of the value guys there for Toronto. You have Maxi Kleber there. He is a disaster waiting to happen. When you pick him, he doesn't do well. When you don't pick him, well, that's when he has his good games. I'm not seeing any bargains down here. Too many questions with the Ivica Zubac. Alex Len, Adam. Alex Len had a nice game there by his standards, 17-7 against Denver. Followed that up with 21-10 against a former squad in the Suns. He gets to go against Zubac, Harrell, etc. 4,500. I don't hate it, but at some point, this is when the music stops and you get a 12-point fantasy game from it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I still think that he's viable because we've seen 22 and then 26 minutes in the last two games. The problem is that there's nothing that's forcing the Hawks to do that.
Yeah.
Just like when he was playing, 14 minutes as a starter because he wasn't doing anything. The Hawks have Damian Jones. They have Bruno Fernando. They can play Jabari Parker at the 5 in a small ball lineup if they wanted to against Montrezl Harrell. So if he's playing well, he can stay on the floor, which is really nice for tournaments. But the flip side to that is if he's not playing well, it's not like they have to play him. And after the last two games he's had, I think there's probably a good chance that his ownership is pretty high. And just whenever you have someone whose minute range is as volatile as Alex Lenz is, when they become popular is when I normally stop being as interested. But that being said, he is a good per minute producer throughout his career. You do need these cheap value guys to fit in Harden and Towns. So I'll definitely have exposure to him. It's just that he's the kind of guy where if suddenly he's 30% owned, you can feel pretty good being underweight on that.
All right, let's hit some high-end FanDuel guys, and then we'll look at a couple bargains. Shout out to FanDuel. They got 8 players in the 5-figure range. That's pretty impressive for them. 2 more in 9K. So let's do the Harden Towns comparison. 12,700 for Harden. Towns 11,500. So you get the discount of $1,200. However, you have to give up your center spot. Still Harden for you?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can entice Harden for 12-7 or Trae Young for 10-2.
Harden.
Yeah, I think the answer is going to be Harden for pretty much anybody else. Let's see, looking at a couple value guys here for them. You still have Cam Reddish at 35, Kendrick Nunn at 54, Derek White, as you mentioned, DeJounte Murray is going to be out on the back-to-back. He is 52. Aaron Holiday, never exciting, but if there's no Brogdon, the Holiday brothers may get start next to each other here. You've got him at 4K. I don't really want to go burn the center spot with Len at 41, Bembry at 48. Any of these names?
White looks good.
Dennis Smith Jr. at 39. It's 39.
Yeah, that's fine. Cam Reddish at 3,500. I mean, he sucks, but it's 3,500.
All right, looking at the old Yahoo, 57 for Harden, 51 for Towns, 56 for Antetokounmpo, 50 for Doncic. Yep, it's all pointing to Harden there. Pascal Siakam, 44. That feels like a good spot. Trae Young for 46. That's a nice one. Aldridge, 27. I really still don't want to do it. Yeah, it's all roads leading to Harden. Let's look at some of their value guys. They'll have a passel of them here. Derek White at 12. Tyler Hero at 10. Let me see. DeLon Wright at 10 from Dallas. Bembry at 12. Forbes at 10. Reddish at 10. I was getting Chris Clemens in a late slate lineup the other day, and I just zeroed him out. I'm glad I did because he basically got a zero with this time. Dennis Smith Jr. 11. There'll be plenty of options here, and we might get news that really elevates one of these guys or 2 of them. So, all right, Adam, any final thoughts?
Definitely shaping up like a stars and scrubs slate. Also pretty nice that it's a Saturday. I just in general think that weekends are a little bit softer competition because there's just less quality content out there. So, maybe you'll get a little bit lower ownership on guys like Harden and Towns than you otherwise would.
And there is a lot of quality content, though, coming from the old Osmo.com. 9:30, you're going to get Adam and myself on the DFS NBA Strategy podcast. We'll turn that, or the YouTube show, I will turn that into a podcast for those of you that are out and about on the weekend, so you can listen to that. We will also have Live Before Lock with Fast Eddie. I'll see if we're going to go at 5:45 or if we're going to go at 6 because there are 7 games. He usually likes to go a little early, but we'll get that squared away and posted before lunch on Saturday. At 11 o'clock, you're going to get the final DFS NFL strategy show. That's going to be Chris Randone and Sal Vitri. At 2 o'clock, you're going to get the On the Contrary with Alex Baker, Chris Spags, and a special guest to be announced. And I'm missing one show somewhere in there, Adam, but they're going to get everything. You've got Adam writing the deep dive behind the paywall. You've got the cash game building blocks in front of the paywall. We got you covered. Check us out. Hit that YouTube like and subscribe so you know when we're going to be dropping more content. There is a ton coming out. With that, gamers, you can follow Adam at ShipMyMoneyDFS on Twitter. I am at EMACDFS. And of course, it is Asimo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.